She sat alone in her room, the glow of her phone the only light in the darkened house. Emma liked the quiet. It was soothing in a way, especially at night. But tonight felt different. The wind outside howled, making the old windows rattle. It was just past midnight, the time when everything felt too quiet, too still. That's when she heard it. A soft, almost rhythmic knock, barely noticeable at first. It came from the front door. She froze, her heart skipping a beat. No one should be outside this late, not here miles from the nearest neighbor. She waited, holding her breath, hoping it was just her imagination. But then it came again, louder this time. Knock, knock, knock. Slowly, Emma got up and walked to the window, trying to peer through the blinds without being seen. Her eyes adjusted to the darkness, and that's when she saw him, a figure standing just outside the door. He was motionless, head slightly tilted as though he was listening for something. She backed away from the window, pulse racing. Her phone buzzed with a message. It was from an unknown number. "Why don't you answer the door, Emma? I know you're there." A cold wave of fear washed over her. How did they know she was home? She hadn't made a sound. Her hands shook as she typed back, "Who is this?" Another knock. This time, it wasn't from the front door. It was from the window, just beside her. The blinds fluttered slightly, as if something had brushed against them. She stared at the window, every nerve in her body screaming to run, but her legs felt like they were glued to the floor. Another message came through. "I see you." Her breath hitched as she looked toward the window again. The figure was no longer at the door. Her eyes scanned the yard, heart pounding in her ears. Suddenly, a loud thud came from the back of the house, followed by the unmistakable sound of footsteps inside. Someone was in the house. Panic surged through her as she grabbed her phone and ran to lock herself in the bedroom. She pressed her ear to the door, listening, but the house had gone eerily silent again. Her phone vibrated with another message. "It's too late to hide." The doorknob rattled. Slowly, at first like someone testing the lock, then more violently, as though whoever was on the other side was losing patience. Tears welled in her eyes. She backed away from the door, her body trembling, but her phone buzzed again. She glanced at the screen. "Look behind you." Her blood ran cold. She didn't want to turn around, didn't want to believe what the message said, but something in the room shifted. A faint, raspy breathing that wasn't hers. She could feel it now. Something was in the room with her, standing just behind her. The air around her grew heavy, like it was closing in, suffocating her. She turned slowly, her heart pounding louder with every second. The room was dimly lit by her phone, casting long shadows across the walls. But in the corner, just out of reach of the light, she saw it. A figure tall and impossibly thin, standing in the darkness, its head cocked to one side as though studying her. Its eyes, if they were even eyes, gleamed faintly in the dark, hollow and black, like two empty sockets staring straight into her soul. Her phone buzzed again. With trembling hands, she looked at the screen. One final message. "I'm not outside anymore, Emma." The last thing she saw was the figure stepping closer, its long, spindly fingers reaching for her, as the room plunged into complete darkness.